morning, everyone. So my topic today is the end of me, and I'm thinking, I hope it doesn't scare people away like you're going to disappear, but you won't. So I'm going to start with a quote from Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And that one is really an important line because it is the mainstay of the Jewish faith. It is part of the prayer called the Shema. One day when I was at a Catholic church, because we have Catholic grandchildren, the priest was saying, and now we want to say Jesus' favorite prayer. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Now in Hebrew, it is Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. So I was like blown away at just the connection of all humanity, you know? The next one, Exodus 3:14, and it was funny because I just saw that song, I Am, and the quote is, I am that I am. And that is in Exodus 3:14. I refuse to be anxious about tomorrow or even the next minute. I know that God does provide for the fulfillment of his divine idea, and I am that divine idea, as you are. Source, Prosperity, Chapter 5, Charles Fillmore. To give up all anxiety and trust in the Lord does not mean to sit down and do nothing. He goes on to explain that we are to work with divine law rather than from fear. And that's from Prosperity, Chapter 5, also, Charles Fillmore. Now, here's my writing on it, the end of me. There was a time when I believed it was all up to me. I was responsible for making everything work. It was up to me to protect my children. It was up to me to keep my husband happy, even going on vacation. I planned everything we would do to have the best time. I was so egotistical, I even planned the future. I had to hold our lives together. I carried the weight of believing that if I did not think hard enough, work hard enough, or worry enough, something would fall apart. Or worse, someone might die. It was exhausting. I wore that exhaustion like a badge of courage. Then little by little, I began to awaken to a liberating truth. I am not separate from God. I do not need to struggle to make life happen. I am an expression of the one mind, the infinite I am. My role is not to control life, but to consciously participate in it. I can just listen rather than lead. I am learning to trust rather than force. I have learned to ask rather than demand. I now give the divine intelligence already within me permission to reveal the next step. That realization did not make me less responsible. It relieved my burdens. It marked the beginning of the end of me. My father used to say something, all my life I heard it. He goes, honey, I is the smallest letter in the alphabet. And you know, maybe that should be a title for a talk because it's really true. My life was a mess. We have a little lake behind our house, and when our children were small, I knew I wanted that house. Why? Because I could see my kids come to and from school from our sun deck. So I had my eye on them to make sure that they were safe. Of course, I had nothing to do with what happened in the building. If my kids were a minute late, I'm out there looking for them because they weren't late. They fell in the lake or some ridiculous thing. And what I began to recognize is I was addicted to worry. Do I have any worry or addictions? Addicted people out there? You will know it because here's what we do. I am so worried. My husband is having a procedure tomorrow. Oh my God, you know, let it just turn out okay, and that's what I can worry about today. Then that turns out okay. Then, oh my gosh, but what if the next time he goes in for a test, it isn't okay? And our son is leaving Thursday for a month to, where is he going? Thailand and Nepal and all over to do work and visit and whatever. And I just read there was a tsunami or something in Hong Kong last night. Oh, I wonder if that's going to be gone when he gets there. And I just move from one to the next, to the next, to the next, until I don't. And until I take a moment and recognize that I have zero control over what happens. I cannot plan it. You were telling me about your issue in the parking lot. You had nothing to do with it. We just happened to be there. And I'm starting to look at that when things happen. If I believe in divine right order, then all of it is good. Because we say God is good all the time, except for when this happened. So it's really interesting as I began to look through all of this, and I thought, how does it really work? I mean, how does all of it work? Well, then I started to think how I believe, and all of us believe, that we have so much responsibility. So how many of you are teachers out there? Okay, do you realize you're not really a teacher? Now think about this. What you really are is a presenter of ideas. Because if there isn't a learner with their ears open, we can teach nothing. And I'm not insulting you. I was a teacher too. But if no one's listening and they're not hearing, you can't teach, which says we are not responsible for the outcomes. We, as individuals, can only do what's right. And Dee, I love your prayer because you pray like I pray. And actually, when I started practitioner training in religious science, I had huge arguments with the minister. Because she would say to me, if somebody comes to you, and she had a very interesting voice. It was kind of like, if somebody comes to you and they want a prayer for a vacuum cleaner, you will pray for a vacuum cleaner. And I went, I most certainly will not. I said, I don't ask God for vacuum cleaners. You know, they're going to have to figure out another way to get a vacuum cleaner. But I will pray for their highest good. So my husband's going in for a procedure. I'm not telling God oh God, please do this, do that. Make him not need that or this, or make him have that or that. Just for his highest good. Because here's the deal. When I think I'm in control of everything and I say to God, God, please cure so-and-so of such and such. Am I interfering with God? Maybe God gave so-and-so, such and such, for a lesson that they had to learn on this planet. I don't know that. See, one of the things that bothers me more than anything, and I'd like to see the hands on this one too, how many of you are so annoyed that we can't understand the mystery of life? That's me. That has been my search, and I get more and more frustrated. In fact, AI and I have talks on this all the time. And I go, I can't even understand you. How do you know me better than I know myself, you know? What is this mystery of life? And what is it really all about? Where do we go when we leave this planet? Am I going to see loved ones? Where is my consciousness? What happens? And I'm not sure that anyone in these bodies is going to know that mystery, but I want to know it. I'm consumed with it because it's so exciting. So I've decided that since I can't know it, there is one power and one presence in the universe that does know it. God the Omnipotent, or the first 3 steps of a 12-step program. I can't, he can, so let him. Him, her, it, whatever. We're going to add that part to it. I mean, that's the way it is. And by the way, the 12 steps is what got me to Unity, because a lot of people that end up in Unity Religious Science, and all of them go to 12-step programs because they're so similar. So what I began to recognize, and this was years ago, is most people use God like Santa Claus. Dear God, here's my list. Please give me a new vacuum cleaner. I would like to have this kind of car. Make so-and-so well. Could you put some money in my bank account? And yada, yada, yada. And then it doesn't happen, and God didn't answer your prayers. And there's a fabulous country song you probably know, Thank God for Unanswered Prayers. I don't remember who sings it. Do you know that song? Somebody, what's the name of it? Yeah, Unanswered Prayers. It's fabulous because we think, I have been so arrogant in my life to think that I know more than God. And I have learned that I am one of the smartest human beings on this planet. Do you know why? Because I have realized I know nothing. The more I learn, the more I know I don't know. Right? We keep studying. Oh, I'm going to read this book. It will give me the answer I'm searching for. And so I read it. And now it just as I have more questions. So I go on to the next, and the next, and the next. Maybe that's why I've studied all these different things. I look for the answers. But the one truth that keeps coming is that in this human form, we will not understand the mystery. We are finite beings. Our soul is infinite, but we are finite. And I, as this little finite creature, I am trying to understand the infinite. And it is impossible. So I have to let go of me. I am a speck, one little tiny speck. But together, we are the all. And what I've learned is to stop thinking on my own, but to tap in to that universal intelligence, divine intelligence that is right here in front of my face. How many times have you wanted an answer to something, and you're thinking, what was the name of that whatever it is? You turn on the television. Oh, and such in such a city, and oh my gosh, there's my answer. Or you're passing a sign, and you look and you go, that was what I was looking for. Wow. Or how many times have you thought about a person and you think, I haven't heard from them in so long, I'm going to call them, the phone rings or there's a text. Do you know why? Because we are connected. Yes, we can read each other's thoughts. You know why? Because we are each other. And that's when you were reading the daily word on forgiveness. You know, when we don't forgive, it's like thinking I'm going to shoot myself and it's going to kill someone else. Because when we don't forgive, guess who we're hurting? We get to carry that burden around with us. Ooh, I hope I don't run into John at the grocery store because I'm going to have to turn my head because I don't want to see him. Anybody ever done that? I've done it, I have to admit. There were times I did that. You know, I don't want to see that person because they did whatever to me. You know, and now I ask the question, what happened to them? to cause them to be the way they are. Or when I think about someone that maybe I have a harder time loving or liking, I try to remember the times when I've seen them vulnerable, and that's what I remember. And I have learned, I'm not going to say I have learned, I am in the process of learning that not everyone responds as I do. And then I'll go back to Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said, if two people have the same opinion, we don't need one of them. So what would our world be like if we all thought the same way? Boring. And so what I have decided is that I am working on giving up little me and looking at the bigger me, which is all-inclusive, and it includes every single thing, every single cell that is on this planet. So I want to end with my poem, The End of Me. How could it ever be that joy could come with the end of me? Only when I began to see that there was really never a thing called me. The idea of separation is simply an unrealistic illusion. It is really part of a large confusion. As we move through this thing called life, it is the maker of worry and strife. There is only one heart, only one mind, the mind of God. That is what we need to find, to know clearly without a doubt. God is in and out, around and through all that we are, all that we do. Why? It is really so clear. God is all there is. No need to fear. We are not controlling anything. We just simply change our thought. It will bring a feeling of release, a peace. We can lay our burden down, begin to smile instead of frown. God is good all the time, beyond any reason or rhyme. Now I can really see how joyful I live when I gave up me. Thank you, and God bless.